At Sam Adams, we're constantly improving who we are, what we do, and how we brew. We may craft over 60 styles of beer, but it's Boston Lager that has captured the heart of America since 1984. With its deep amber color, caramel notes, and signature hop character, what better to have in your pint glass? Follow me into the jungle. Sam Adams Boston Lager. Pursue better.
Boston Beer Company, Boston, Mass. Save responsibly.
Feed me more. Welcome to Conversation with the Big Guy. I am the Big Guy Ryback, and I'm sitting here with the one, Pat Buck.
Oh, man, you got a lot of energy. We've been recording. It's 1 a.m.
Unlimited energy is in full fucking effect tonight.
It's unlimited energy, but it's a lot of red wine.
It's red wine, Michelob Ultras, and Starbucks coffee.
Should have had more Michelob Ultras, though.
We actually tried to get more, and they cut us off. The bar closed, so.
Drinking Mich Ultras is way easier than drinking the blood of Christ during podcasting.
Key is to stay hydrated with water. A bottle of water here or there goes a long ways.
I never do that. I always forget. I always wake up like massively.
Did you take your electrolytes?
No, I didn't.
I'm releasing an electrolyte. Finish it. Yeah.
Okay.
It's called Finish It, which it's for, obviously football players, athletes, finish that final quarter, that final minute, and it's going to be top notch.
This is the first year I learned about electrolytes because I was wondering, just certain times I was so burnt out. I'm like, I don't want to drink Gatorade for the sugar. But,
yeah, stuff is so much sugar and all that, and it's like now they make electrolytes, and obviously everything that I'm doing has the stevia, and it's all natural. And but they WWE actually, it was Kelly Starlett, I believe, who has a book called Becoming a Supple Leopard.
Becoming what?
A supple leopard.
Okay.
On taking care of your body, and I've read this book and taken techniques out of it, and it has helped me on the road tremendously. When you're wrestling 4 or 5 nights a week, and I have my foam rollers and these lacrosse balls, and all the guys up there, we all have, everyone has their own deal on and keeping themselves healthy. But I have my duffel bag I bring on the road full of protein powder, and I would bring a bag specifically for all my workout stuff,
okay,
protein and supplements, and rehab bands and foam rollers and these lacrosse balls, and you apply these different techniques, and they help. It's such a great book, and there's so many different active warm up techniques and things like that. But it teaches you proper mechanics working out. That's something I used to just go into the weight room and throw shit around, and it does damage to your body after doing that year after year, with wrestling on top of it. But this guy, Kelly Starlett, he is a genius, and I've read other books on it, and we got to finally meet him. We had a meeting randomly with WWE at one of the TV hotels one day, and I don't know if it was before a pay-per-view or something, but he did I don't know if it was an hour or 2 hour presentation, and the one thing I got out of that was he talked about electrolytes.
Okay.
And I have always cramped up, even no matter how much water I drink, especially when I do legs.
Mm-hmm.
I guaranteed I'm going to fall down at some point in the day with a hamstring cramp, or there's been many a nights where I've done legs and then had to take a red eye out, for a WWE live event, and sitting in the seat, my leg locks up.
Yeah.
And then my other leg locks up, and I got people, I've before been in the window seat, and in just complete lockdown, and I need to stand up, but I have nowhere to go. And it is the worst fucking pain in the world.
So cramps, electrolytes will cure that? It's not sugar? Electrolytes?
No, it's electrolytes.
Really?
It's being depleted in those, because if you don't have the proper electrolytes in your body, you can drink all the water in the world, but it doesn't do what it's supposed to do.
Makes sense.
And a lot of athletes, and I do 2 packs a day of a different electrolyte right now until mine is finished, and it helps me when I forget it. I know it because I cramp up, and it's just I sweat so much throughout the day, and I'm so active, and I'm working out for 3 or 4 hours, and I work out most of the time in my gym at home. And in Vegas, it's anywhere from 110 to 118, and I'm in my garage with a little cooler.
There's no AC?
No, I sometimes will open the garage door and let the dogs out there with me.
Okay.
But I do that so the dogs can go in and out. Usually I keep it shut, and it is that I have one little cooler thing I bought in there that I pour water in. It's like a little mini swamp cooler essentially. Because to get AC, I would have to have ducts put in there, and like it's a pain in the ass and I don't want that to be my full-time gym. I eventually want to go get a whole other place for that.
Okay.
But I enjoy the heat. Like I think it feels good to go out there and sweat, but I lose a lot of, no matter how much water I'm drinking.
Sure.
And you cramp up, so I got to make sure I do those electrolytes.
I literally knew nothing about electrolytes until I think this year. And my training school is at creativeprowrestling.com, where you could sign up to learn how to be a professional wrestler like us. There's no summertime's brutal, not brutal in New York. I mean, nothing to, like compared to Vegas, but
I noticed it right away though. Humidity though, it's a different heat. Vegas is a very dry heat.
Okay,
but like Vegas, like the pavement in Vegas, like I can't even take my dogs outside, and during the day the sidewalk is so hot. The streets are just
burns
torch. Yeah, they run and they don't know what to do. And I got to carry them everywhere. They don't even like Sophie. She's going on 10 months old. The sun burns her face.
Really?
She's still
Jesus Christ.
it's fucking a whole other ball game. I mean, it's unreal. At
the schools, I got one in Jersey and New York. It's the heat. Doing wrestling practice there is unreal. Summertime's been so bad, we can get through about an hour and 20 minutes before the canvas is just soaked with sweat, and then we can't do anything because it's too slippery.
Yeah.
But electrolyte stuff, like I was wondering, fuck, I'm cramping all the time and like kind of tired. And then I started taking a electrolyte
They'll
powder.
help you. They allow everything else that you do properly to work better. And they're cheap. They're not expensive. And it's well worth, looking into. And, the whole feed me more nutrition. Like I'm saying, I've always been so passionate about supplements. And
I mean, we're already talking about shit. I think we might as well stay on this topic since.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No, but it's the whole thing with feed me more nutrition is, ever since I was a kid, I've been obsessed with working out, and I've seen my mom. She would do the fitness, DVDs and whatnot.
She got you into all this stuff.
She didn't even try. Our house that we grew up in, I'm going to buy it back, and I want to fix it up and run
Your original house.
Yeah, it's always been in my head.
It's been my dream too. Yeah.
I think that's a cool fucking feeling to be able to go back, and I have so many memories. I want to fix that house.
Someone else lives
and I don't
there
want to reinstore it to what it was exactly, but I want to kind of get it similar.
But someone else lives there now, right?
Yeah, and I've looked into buying it back, and because I have the funds to do it, but there's been people in there, and the guy, when I saw what the guy got it for, and then he got it when the housing market crashed in 2008, he got this house for dirt cheap, and it's in a bad neighborhood now. And I say bad, it's just in a older part of town, and but it's one of those things I really really want to get it back I've always been to that house show, Flip or Flop.
Yes.
Or flip? Is it
is it Flip or Flop?
Flip or Flop, Flip or Flop. I believe is the house with
I've seen Flip that house. I don't know if it's a flipper. I don't know. Maybe
I think it's Flip or Flop.
Okay.
If not, I apologize, but it's one of those shows on flipping houses, and I've watched the entire series, and I've read multiple books on real estate, and that's one other thing. I almost actually bought my first property right before I left WWE, but it fell through. There ended up being a plumbing issue.
Is that the apartment you were telling me about?
No, it was a house.
Do you have an apartment now too that you got, or no?
No.
Okay.
The ex-girlfriend has a house she's she's remodeling that whole thing, which is going horribly. She was just texting me.
Okay.
Like the construction people are completely fucking up and not taking advantage of her, and so hopefully when I get back, go try to straighten that out. But it's there's, especially in Vegas, the housing market is great, and there's so much money to be made right there, and it's you go in, you remodel something, and you could turn around, you can make a nice chunk of change on that. So I love having my hands kind of in everything.
Well, talk about the whole because I think the biggest from what I've noticed since the contract expires at WWE, you basically, I think more so because you want it to be that way, and I think would you say your number one focus would be, I mean, I know wrestling is still passionate to you, but the whole supplement line and the whole fitness thing, I mean,
that is huge for me. And that's always, because that's what I said. It's always, you're allowed to be passionate more about than one thing in life.
Sure.
Like,
yeah.
And when you work for the WWE, it consumes your life, and you have to be all in. And I let it consume my life, and that was part of the reason why I was so frustrated. Is, you know, when you dedicate and you give yourself so much to something, and you give yourself to them, and you say, "Work me to death." I want to be worked to the bone. I want media interviews on my days off. I want to do media every week. Every week, I want to do Monday and Tuesday interviews in the morning on little sleep, because I want to be all about this, and then not, oh no, we're just going to cut off your media altogether. Like, it's not a good feeling. No. And it's not. It's like, well, fuck you then. You're gonna go ahead, find someone else then. I'm going to use this work ethic for something else. And for me, it was letting that run out, be thankful for everything. Now I could apply my energies to all these different things that I've wanted to do for so long, and nobody could tell me no anymore.
And this has always been like, this isn't like a new thing.
No.
Like, you've always, I think,
I've been obsessed with this stuff.
As far
from
as
day
the
one.
boys go, I remember a lot of us would always be like, hey, and we'd pick your brain based on supplements, exercise. It's like just knowledge in that field. So now you actually get to own and work and
and I think we've talked and I've talked with you about this, and I want to hold nothing back on this, and I write about it in my book, in Wake Up It's Feeding Time, the motivational book by the big guy, that the steroids, and I think it's something a lot of people are afraid to talk about, and it's something people look at me and just think that this guy is just fully loaded with this and that, and and I had my brand, and I talk about it in the book, my experience with them early on in my career and my life, and the detrimental effects they had on me and my views towards them. And most people don't want to accept that I've learned about nutrition and eating right, and I work out for multiple hours every single day. I kill myself, and it's a mindset, and it's the blood type for your diet. It's cutting out meat and doing these little things and constantly evolving. And I've always loved supplements and nutrition, along with pushing yourself and physically exhausting yourself. I've always been obsessed with. That's one of the things I love about wrestling, is that feeling of exhaustion that you get. And I love pushing myself out there and not getting tired at times, and being in such physical condition that I'm fucking go out there in 25 minutes and not be blown up, in which people don't believe, because he can't wrestle 5 minutes. He can't wrestle. And I've been dealing with that from day one.
What are your thoughts on TRT or, steroids as a whole?
No, as far so that was one of the things with TRT. For the first 5 years after my run with all those, I had a very negative reaction to testosterone and in different steroids, where it shut me down tremendously. And when I say shut me down, my natural testosterone did not come back. Or it was not back to what was perceived to be within the normal limits, which is not uncommon. But it is everyone reacts differently. There's some guys that can experiment with them or run cycles, so to speak, and they bounce back fairly quickly. And then there's other guys that do one cycle and they're shut down for the rest of their lives. And that is where people don't understand how negative those side effects can be. And I always say some of them are blown out of proportion and obviously, I think if you have a temper problem before, then I was always happy and I never abused them, though. As far as when I say abused, compared to what other people were doing, it was always very mild. But everybody reacts differently to them. But for me, my body, it shut me down, and so for the 5 years before WWE. And I didn't know it. I was tired at times, and but you just kind of get used to it, I guess. And I didn't have blood work. I had blood work early on, and it was shut down. But I'm like, years ago, I'm fine. But then I remember it was at some point, I think it was after the ankle injury, I got my blood work done again, and they're like, your test levels are how are you
functioning?
In shape. They were just below that of an old lady. And I was like, what? And I go, still, and I'm not, no, mind you, I'm well past that phase. The WWE wellness program is in effect, and I'm blown away, and I go, well, holy shit. And that's when I looked into the testosterone replacement therapy. And again, I talk about that in my book, where for medicinal purposes, the stuff is beautiful and it can greatly enhance a person's life. But that's because there's been nothing so far supplement wise that is really proven to restore your natural testosterone. There's certain things that have like done this and that a little bit, but for the most part, there's really been nothing overall mainstream that has really, really done that.
There's what, tribulus powder and like
there's tribulus and all that, and it might have a very mild like things like ZMA and but they really, when you're shut down, or men that just, it affects us, everyone at a different age. Eventually, all men are going to get to that point where their testosterone starts. When you hit your 30s, it kind of goes down. It's happening in men in their 20s.
Someone say it's like 3% a year or something like that.
Yeah, it's drastic. So that got me to. I've always been obsessed with supplements and looking into natural supplements and trying things, and I've spent a lot of money over the years on different supplements and trying to find the different things and a lot of reading. And one of the things with this whole Feed Me More Nutrition was, I got the pre-workout and doing the stevia and staying away from the aspartame.
I think it's important to say it here because I think there's a lot of people that'll listen and will look at, your physique and hear about your, maybe your history early on and go, that's full of shit. He's just on stuff. He's just trying to push bullshit. But I can tell you from, sometimes you make me feel like a piece of shit because you've cut out aspartame.
Yeah.
I remember living with you and you're fucking drinking, 6 to 12
diet sodas.
Dews,
yep.
And
on all my protein powders, it was in everything.
It's everything. And then when you tell me like, look, I'm cutting out aspartame, I'm like, how the fuck how do you do that? Because if you turn it around, and sucralose is basically an aspartame, correct?
Sucralose was the thing that came out after aspartame. Like aspartame is more, is a little different than sucralose, but they're all artificial chemicals.
Basically, what I'm trying to say though is that like to remove yourself from that,
they're in everything. It's really hard,
and to have that discipline to go, hey, like. Because you're the one that instilled with me. I tell those people too, when they first start dieting, like, hey, what do I do for workout? And I'm like, well, first off, because you're the one that instilled this in my, you don't drink calories. That was your first like rule, and I was like, that's a fucking pretty good rule. And but then you took it beyond that, where it's like diet soda and stuff like that. They're not going to make you fat. However, with these chemicals and stuff like, there's some dangers there. And the fact that you removed yourself from that, I'm like, that's something I'm like, fuck, I just can't do. But so when people listen to this, I think they need to know that, your discipline does go that deep. It's not a bunch of malarkey. You're not you're not trying to pitch a fucking supplement.
No, this is stuff I truly live by day in and day out and believe in. And it's one of those things in the supplement industry. I look around and there's some really good products out there, but the majority of them, they still use all these chemicals.
And why? Because it's cheaper.
They're cheaper.
Right? Yes.
And it's like I've had to put up a lot of money to do this the right way. And I'm taking a huge gamble with all this, but I believe in it so strongly and I'm so passionate about it that I have no doubts I'm doing anything wrong with this. I am doing this for myself and to help people because I know what works and what doesn't work, and I feel like this is going to be a game changer.
And not to pitch a product, but I remember, you're talking about your pre-workout stuff, because pre-workouts are, for those, and there's going to be a lot of fans that have no idea what a pre-workout, or whoever listens to this, they may not even know what that is. But a lot of times it's tough to get that motivation to go to the gym, especially if you've been working a long day or whatever, and you need that extra boost. I myself do, and I've taken every pre-workout that there is, but I never knew that, most of them, in order to taste good or to at least get it down, they're loaded with artificial sweeteners. Yeah. Now, those aren't going to make you fat. However, some have been linked to cancer-causing agents and things like that.
I write about all that. There's a lot of negatives with it. And for me, I was in Tampa, and it was during the ankle injury that I was consuming, 6 to 10 diet sodas a day.
Sure.
The sugar-free Monsters or sugar-free Red Bulls. Mm-hmm. 1 or 2 here and there a day. All my protein powders filled with it at the time.
Aspartame, yeah.
If I had coffee, I would put the Splenda or the aspartame packets in it. It was in everything. The pre-made Monster milk protein drinks at the time that I was drinking a lot of. They were chocked full of this stuff.
It's in everything. It's in gum. It's
Yeah,
in like you
gum.
can't escape it. Like if you want to eat clean, you're like, oh, I'm reducing my calories. They make up for it by putting aspartame or sucralose into it. It's
all the diet products essentially, and a lot of them have not switched over to stevia yet because it's a lot more expensive, and it's stevia. It's a little harder.
I don't think people even know. Most people listening.
It's a plant sweet. It comes from plants. It's all natural, and the research on it is leap years ahead of aspartame and sucralose, but it's a slightly different taste. It's very sweet. It doesn't take nearly as much, but like it's one of those things. I remember the first time as a kid when I tried a diet soda, I was disgusted.
Me too.
It. And then I
was 22.
Yeah, I was a kid. I just took, oh, this is a shit. So,
I drank real soda till I was 22 years old.
I drank real sodas though as a like. I remember being a kid, just Mountain Dew all the time, Dr. Pepper, and so this stuff though, it's a different taste, and I think it just takes, but I love it once you get used to it, and I think it's just once you know, it's so much better than the other alternative, and I just think the timing wise for this as a society, we're becoming more and more educated and understanding, taking care of ourselves more and more, and don't get me wrong, everybody, this whole world revolves around money, but my thing is I love making money and this and that, but I also want to do good for people.
At the same time, too, I mean, you're on to something, and it kind of, I remember when I saw it, I was like, holy fuck, I'm a big diet soda mark.
Yeah.
Diet Pepsi, I don't know if you know this, within like the last like year or two, every can is aspartame free.
Oh, really? I didn't even. I don't.
Now, do they have a different artificial sweetener? They might.
Sucralose is the Splenda is the one because my thing is what they're doing is they actually like a lot of these companies. There's now like a low calorie or a lower calorie cola by one of them where they have it's sweetened with stevia, but there's also sugar in it still.
Okay.
I feel like they're slowly trying to condition people to, and I've read different things where eventually it's going to all be stevia, but they don't want to come right out and we've been selling this other product. This is shit. And we've known it's been shit, but we're making billions of dollars, and everything revolves around business in this, from medical to products you buy in the grocery store. So, but my thing is, it's going to be in writing the book and trying to educate people. And these are products I believe in. These are products that I take and that I have formulated myself. And we have, trial after trial after trial to get these right. And I think as we do this, we're about 8 weeks out, which by the time this airs, it should be close to coming out. And I'm excited about it. And I'm truly all the different things I got my hands in. This is probably the thing I'm the most excited about outside of wrestling.
Probably your biggest risk too.
Financially, it's a lot. It is.
You got the merch stuff, which is normal. That's going to sell itself.
Yeah.
But you're taking a big risk with like, hey, I'm putting my
brand on this. I'm putting my name on this, and I am all in. And I refuse to live in fear. And I believe. To live big, you got to swing big, and you got to take chances sometimes. And this is something I believe in so strongly. And anyone you've known me the whole time, Feed Me More is something that is what bothered me so badly, with WWE, is because I can't let that be tarnished. That is something I believe in too strongly. And I've told them I want to do other things with this brand. We cannot say I'm a piece of shit, because that affects how my brand is perceived in other things, and that played a huge factor in for me, and walking out and wanting to leave.
And you own Feed Me More.
Absolutely, everything, and it's something I created it, and it's something, and I don't create something to go to hand it over to anybody else. I refuse to, and that's the case, and that is who and what I am as a human being, and that's why, like I told you, we were talking about earlier about like the vision boards and the Feed Me More vision boards that I did, and you helped me with that, come up with that idea. The goal boards, and because that was the one thing that I got from The Secret, and they don't sell goal boards that are pre-made. They just sell whiteboards. And so that was the whole thing, coming up with the Feed Me More goals and with the 5 goals on them, because I think people need, then you just put in what you want. You don't have to create the whole board, and it simplifies the process for people. And that for me was the one thing I got out of that book. But like, Feed Me More is so much more than just wrestling. It's the way of living life. It's just waking up hungry each and every day and being your absolute best and being thankful.
All right. 21 minutes in. We've recorded about 5 or 6 of these bad boys.
Pat Buck is half asleep.
Half asleep, yeah. I'm ready to fucking fall on my face.
Unlimited energy, man. You gotta dig deep.
I know. Fuck.
Where were we before we were talking about the supplements?
I don't know. We just got.
You brought talking about steroids a little bit and whatnot, and the TRT.
I mean, it's people aren't
to wrap back on that. Just so
people aren't allowed to talk about it.
Everyone's afraid, like, and it's. But that's one thing with WWE. I will say, and from my experience, I was tested all the time, and they did a great job. And I love that was implemented, because, and not to say that steroids were the only thing that were contributing to people dying early. It was a lot of things. It was.
Do you think that anabolics contribute to people passing?
Absolutely.
Really?
I think, but in a combination, and again, I think when abused for long periods of time, which in the wrestling, years go by like that.
Okay.
And people usually don't, and when you're on TV every week, and before they were, drug tested or what, it was kind of just, it was what it was. And I think people, that though, with alcohol, with hard recreational drugs, with little sleep, I think it's a combination of everything that on that end, and for whatever reason why they did it, who cares? They did it, and it's a good thing. And I've always, from day one, that's one thing that I am proud of them for, that they did implement that, because for me, it put restrictions on me early on where I would it challenged me, and I feel like I've been able to look the way that I have by making those changes and adjusting, and it makes me even more rare, which I always said, you guys have a guy that can maintain and stay healthy on the road for
not
you,
fail a
wellness test and work with everyone from top to bottom and know how to get over, and you're not going to capitalize on that? Come on.
And as we record this, there was 3 wellness violations today.
Yeah. It's just, and there was 4 in the last month and a half.
Yeah.
So, and everyone has their thing and whatnot, and I'll never pass judgment. But it was, they missed the boat. They did not know what they had, and I'm fine with that. I'm gonna show the world what I am now.
I think I had some fucking question, and goddamn, a couple beers or 1 beer and 1 glass of wine.
This is a one-man show with conversation with the big guy, folks. I'm bouncing things off of.
I used to be good at this shit. That was I gonna say.
But
I was reading a study today actually on anabolics, or related to if it causes any heart failure. And I read this study and I was like, fuck, this doesn't sound like definitive evidence.
Yeah.
So basically they took 12 guys. They were all above the age of 40, and they studied them and they studied their heart, more specifically their left ventricle. They said was weaker when compared to 40-year-old athletes that have never taken anabolics.
Yeah.
But I found the group that they were studying were taking 675 milligrams of testosterone.
Wow.
For 9 years straight. And I was like, that's like the wrong group to study. If that's a lot of shit, you know what I mean? And they found that there were slight differences. So I was like, does this really attribute?
I don't think it's, like I said,
it's the combination.
It's a combination, and things are always drastically, what's the word I'm looking for? I feel like blown out of proportion.
Sure.
But I think so, and that's just, and testosterone is a natural hormone in the human body, and and for me, when I went on TRT, and we'll talk, that's kind of what we were talking about with all this. And for me, it was being monitored by a board-certified endocrinologist, having blood work done not only by WWE regularly along with the drug testing, it was being monitored by this doctor at home. And it was in comparison to that, and you're dealing with anywhere from 75 milligrams to 150 milligrams a week to keep you within the mid-normal, healthy adult range.
Basically, what you're trying to say is you had to go through a lot of testing and processes just to get the approval to bring your range
to bring them back up to normal,
to a normal range.
And then they're monitored, and you cannot be out of that range on that.
And if you're out of that range, you fail a wellness test. Correct.
And so you have to remain in that range, which is the normal range. So that is, and for me, when I decided I had to do that, and I'm young, I was in my 20s when I had to start that. It was, I believe, I was 28 there, almost 29, right?
Mm-hmm.
When I decided, and then we got the blood work, and well, what else am I going to do? It hasn't came back in 5 years.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the reason with the whole Feed Me More Nutrition and coming out with the big guy test booster. And there's research on different individual herbs that have not been used in conjunction with each other that I just accidentally happened. Like I knew.
How do you find out about this shit?
I'm just always been driven by So when you experience it, and I want to have kids, and I want to I don't want to be on TRT forever. When you're on TRT, it's not to say that you can't have kids, but it makes the chances much more difficult. So that was one of the things. Like I'm 34, like I'm to that point where like I'm gonna want to have kids.
It could happen. I need to get soon.
Yeah, I need to get my testosterone. I need to look. So. When I left WWE there, I was like, you know what? Now's the time to see if I can do this. And I started taking these I came off my TRT, and I started taking these combination of herbs, and I waited 3 weeks. I went and got blood work. My testosterone was, say like the normal range is like 315 to 1100 nanograms or however they measure it. I was at like 2 something, but my luteinizing hormone and follicle stimulating hormone, which are signs that your testicles and your balls are essentially making trying to make testosterone.
Sure.
Those numbers came back great, which for the first time in years, I
never had that.
Those have always been bottomed out. And my doctor was like, "What's going on here?" And I told him what I was doing, and he goes, "Well, keep doing it."
These herbs.
Okay. And so another blood test, the numbers were even higher. And then another blood test, they're even higher. And now for the first time ever, I just recently went and got my blood work. I'm waiting on the results. But for my last one, my testosterone levels were in the normal range.
Okay.
For the first time.
And you're TRT free.
Completely TRT free. And body weight, everything is like
same.
Yeah. And I feel amazing. And that's when I was already doing these supplements, and I wasn't going to do a testosterone booster. And then I said to the guy, I go, this is working. And the company that I'm working with, they are now formulating everything into one. So I got like literally 6 or 7 bottles. And if you go into my room, I brought them, and that I got to take
this, test boosters.
Yeah. And now they're having a couple weeks of samples, and which I'll go get further blood work done on those, and I'm really excited. I think out of everything I'm doing, this potentially could have the most impact from
the test booster.
Yeah. And it's nothing illegal. It's all natural. It's all natural. And it's, again, if people are drug tested though, and again, everyone, if you already have high normal levels of testosterone, and you take it and it puts you out of the normal range,
you will.
The drug testing things don't care why.
Even if you took a natural supplement.
Yeah, this is for the men though. If you're on TRT and you're possibly maybe you want to have kids or you want another alternative, this is hopefully something they could look into and possibly enhance their lives.
It's crazy, just like the general public. It's unfortunate that like they don't. There's not enough, I guess, general knowledge of what testosterone or different things like that.
And the media controls a lot of that.
Yeah.
The media that I've always said, and it's great for certain aspects, but they focus on such negativity and just trying to create, they're so judgmental, and they're just all for the best story and the best ratings, and people can't put too much into the media. It's a bunch of garbage, quite frankly. And the sooner you could kind of tune that bullshit out, I feel off the better most of us will be. And it's good for getting to be kind of caught up on certain things, but the way they portray things, that's a whole other, deal.
Sure. But I mean, more particularly, like people just hear steroids, negative, cheater, just I actually like the fact that testosterone replacement therapy, I think, has been a softer term to kind of alleviate the negative. I mean, I'm not saying that they're all, do you agree that anabolics in a weird, or not a weird, but in some degrees could be beneficial to people?
I don't. So to me,
Or not
and I
more?
talk about it in my book, I think we're better off without them.
Okay.
Outside of medicinal purposes, and obviously
That's what I
people,
mean.
with people with AIDS and different things, that there's different diseases where they have found those can help and prolong your life.
So even with a guy with like, you know, he's 54 years old, he has low testosterone, you think that, you know, it'd be...
I'm not talking about TRT on that.
Yeah.
There's other different things like steroid wise and growth hormone wise that used in people that are suffering from debilitating diseases can help prolong their lives.
Okay.
But outside of that, I mean, and again, with the TRT, that's a medicinal purpose. I'm talking recreational use.
Gotcha.
And like we as a society, I think we're so close, and we're trying to get away from it. And that's one thing with WWE. I did say I feel like they're using guys now that they're conditioning the audience to the WWE wrestler looks a lot different these days than they used to.
Sure.
And they're getting away from the bigger guys and whatnot. Even though like they had a guy like me that would fit in perfectly and did everything the right way, but as a whole, I'm a rare thing. Not everybody looks like me. I realize that. Not everybody looks like. Not even worth fucking mentioning. Not everybody looks like me, but like looking. I think we're too close to that steroid era still, where people are afraid to take a step back for a little bit because you've seen what it looks like. You know what I mean?
I've seen a couple people too that I've seen them go, even though they can pass wellness tests, oh, we can't hire you because you look like you could fail. That I thought was fucking... I've heard that with two different people, and I don't want to mention their names, but I thought that was kind of like, that sucks for you. Like, that's not really exactly fair, but I get what you're saying with that.
And that's what I think with them, they're getting away from it. And it's from a business standpoint, I don't disagree with it. I just think, though, when you have people that can look larger than life and draw people in, you should capitalize on that.
Sure.
And I don't think they necessarily always do. But again, I didn't create that world. Somebody else did. And that's their, discretion to do what they want. Now I have my discretion to do what I want in my world. So
do you want to chime in what you feel about, say, employees versus talent? They got to take tests.
Again, I don't think they created the rules for their world, and the society and people in general, the WWE fans can create their judgment on that. I'm out of there. Like, I don't want to. I'm not in that system anymore. It should be an even playing field for everyone, whether you're an employee or working full time there. The playing field should be the exact same, and if it isn't, that's fucked up.
Yeah.
And they should be held accountable for that. And they know better, but they've been used to getting their way for so long. And it's only a matter of time. Eventually, everything will catch up.
I would think so.
It will.
34 minutes in, we're talking about...
Do you remember what we were talking about?
I remember this one. I mean, we're talking about the supplement stuff because I always feel like I have not a lot to learn, but I'm like, oh shit, okay, let me do this and not that.
I was telling you though too, and I think this is very important. We've kind of in steroids came into this world, and in the 70s, the 80s, and the 90s, in the early 2000s, and it's 2016. We're not that far removed from that where it was running rampant.
Yeah, crazy.
I think it's one of those things as we're going to get away from it. The further we get away from it, the better.
I think so,
there's
too.
always going to be people looking when there's money on the line. And athletes are hungry.
That little edge.
Yeah, and they're looking for any little thing. But I think, and I've experienced it, and it's so much more rewarding to do it on your own, and it feels so much better. And it means eating a little better. It means not drinking quite as much. But it means, and if you do, like, I'm going to be in the gym tomorrow for 3 fucking hours.
Sure.
And it's like I'm going to work this all off, and you just got to work a little harder. And it's like, I think the further we get away from that period, the better. And this is just the beginning period of that. So
interesting conversation with the big guy who talked about all sorts of his upcoming supplement line and all sorts of stuff. You can check that out at feedmemore.com. You can also go to wrestleproonline.com. I always plug that. I don't know if you guys go to it, but please, the best New York and New Jersey independent wrestling, creativeprowrestling.com. Buck Never Stops on Twitter. I think we're about done with this.
you have just listened to another episode of Conversation with the Big Guy. Thank you.
At Sam Adams, we're constantly improving who we are, what we do, and how we brew. We may craft over 60 styles of beer, but it's Boston Lager that has captured the heart of America since 1984. With its deep amber color, caramel notes, and signature hop character, what better to have in your pint glass? Sam Adams Boston Lager. Pursue better.
Boston Beer Company, Boston, Mass. Save responsibly.